Hey friends, I am coming back at ya with another video where I am sharing unsolicited advice when it comes to creativity and business. By the time I post this, I think it'll probably be the new year, maybe well into the new year. But I thought I would talk about today goal setting, because every year it never fails. The new year comes around, the lead up, the build up, New Year's Day, and then the first 2 weeks after, everybody's talking about setting goals, they're recapping their goals, they're recapping all the great things that they did. And if you want to be really honest with you, it gives me anxiety. Everything gives me anxiety, but it makes me feel kind of less than. I find myself comparing the things that I've done, the wins and the things that I've accomplished over that year. And really, to be honest with you, I'm just not into it. I've never been into New Year's Day. I've never been into needing to start something on the first of each year. Obviously, when it comes to running a business, there's a lot of stuff that comes with the new year that you have no choice. You have to begin and set goals. But really, in general, for my whole entire life, both personal and business, I'm one of those people that likes goals in small bite-sized portions. And don't get me wrong, I eat goals for breakfast, even if they're bite-sized portions, but I love goals. I love to crush my goals. I love setting goals. But when it comes to setting really big goals at the beginning of the year, I'm kind of different from other people out there, and I hope I don't make anybody mad, but I'm just not into it. So I wanted to provide a different opinion out there, just in case you're watching things, you're feeling motivated, you're thinking about the new year, but you're also feeling intimidated or like you can't keep up, or it's just not your thing to go in big when it comes to the first of the year. So I'm going to give you a few tips, a few experiences that have really come in handy in my complete and total evolution when it comes to growing a business, running something, doing stuff in my life that brings me joy both personally and professionally. Okay, so the biggest tip that I can offer you guys with goals is to block out the opinions of going big with things. I'm all for big dreams. I got some crazy big dreams. I won't even say out loud on this camera because I don't know, I'm just keeping them to myself right now. I'm all for going all in on big ideas, big dreams. But I have found in my own experience, at least with my personality, I had some big goals. And after a while, I found myself getting really discouraged and losing momentum and confidence because I wasn't meeting them. One of my biggest goals, as a lot of you know, was way back when. It was wanting to quit my day job and work full-time as an artist. And for so many years, I had this huge goal of, this will be the year I quit my job. This will be the year I make X amount of money so I can quit and walk away and run this business. And for a number of years, like a lot of years, probably almost 10 years, I failed at that over and over again. I just wasn't figuring out the right situation or formula for how I was going to do it. I tried a lot of things, but that giant goal really started creating a lack of confidence in me and feeling like I was failing, feeling discouraged, like I just couldn't get it right. Giant things just are not working for me. I'm intimidated, I'm anxious, I'm worried, I'm discouraged. I'm going to go to the other end of the spectrum, and I'm going to start setting small, teeny tiny bite-sized goals that I can actually meet day by day, week by week, month by month. So what I ended up doing was really just scaling back everything I was thinking about. I actually tossed out the goal of quitting my job, and I focused more on maybe creating opportunities that created momentum, growing my business, teaching myself how to do things, learning how to create videos and edit them, learning how to build a website, coding. I started just giving myself these goals that were super manageable, that fit into my daily schedule. I actually didn't have the space in my life to go after these giant, crazy big things because I had to go to work every day. So I started picking these things I could fit into my evenings, on the weekends, after work, on my vacation days, the types of things that I could easily fit into my schedule that I could succeed at instead of feeling intimidated by them or like I wasn't going to meet them. The cool part about setting little tiny tiny bite-sized goals is that usually you're able to meet them. If you can set a goal that you can easily attain, the greatest part of that whole process is that it builds confidence. Oftentimes when we set goals and we don't meet them, we get super discouraged, and then we fall into this spiral of like not wanting to even think about that goal ever again, or just getting lazy or procrastinating, or just feeling a lack of confidence. But when you set these little goals that are super attainable, it builds up confidence. And in my opinion, confidence builds momentum, and momentum builds like speed and movement forward towards the stuff that you're working on. A lot of these goals, a lot of meeting them created momentum. So everything from learning how to work a camera and practicing photography, building a blog, learning how to code a website, learning how to edit and film video. I started a blog. I started creating content for that blog. I spent like weeks and months just practicing certain ideas that I had for classes, so that when I had time to actually make a class, I had practiced and hashed out all the ideas in my head. I had these teeny tiny practical goals that I think most people would look at and go, okay, well, where's the big stuff? Or where's the quitting the job? Or where's that big dream of impacting the world with art? These goals are so darn practical, but what I found is that tiny goals create confidence. Confidence creates momentum, and momentum creates forward motion towards those bigger things. So what happened to me is I started picking away at these tiny things. I fit them into my schedule. I fit them in after work. In the 2 hours I had watching TV, I would practice and draw, or I would go out on the weekend and take a million pictures so I could practice what it was like to be a photographer and photograph my work. I started practicing talking on camera. I started volunteering on a weekend to teach here and there with people for free, so I could just practice and figure stuff out. And all these little goals that I met started to create the momentum in my creative business. And you know what? Before I knew it, I started to have some really clear answers, some really dynamic movement towards bigger things. And the next thing I knew, I was creating income based on all these little tiny steps and little impactful things, little micro decisions I was making started to turn into actual income with my art business, which then led to more income and more goals and evolution and growth and change, which eventually turned into the ability to walk away from my job. So while my goal setting didn't look exactly like I'm gonna quit my job this year, here we go, it took me a long time. It took me a long time taking little tiny steps that fit into paying my bills with my day job. What I found is that most people don't want to hear that because we don't have patience. We want things to happen quickly. But when you do accept the fact that maybe these tiny decisions could eventually lead you towards those big things, then the whole goal setting process feels way less intimidating. You're more apt to like stick with those goals and not throw them by the wayside halfway through the year. So here's my advice for you guys today. If you are feeling pressure to set some big goals, if you're feeling a little stressed out by the fact that everybody else has it figured out, I'm your fairy godmother here telling you, just pick something small you can do this week or next week or for the month of January or February. Pick small little decisions or micro movements that you can make that absolutely fit into your schedule. If you're a busy mom, if you have a day job, if you are doing 1,000,001 things, you might not have the space to do giant things, giant goal setting, but I guarantee you probably have the ability to start checking off little things. Maybe it's applying to a craft show 6 months from now. Maybe it's building your own blog. Maybe it's growing your Instagram account. Whatever it is, figure out what's small that can fit into something you can do today. Not for the whole year, not crazy big things that are going to be intimidating, but things that will build your confidence, eventually create momentum, and then eventually create forward movement towards the big things that you really want. So I hope that advice helps you guys in this time of goal setting. I'm usually doing this all the time. So I look at my calendar each month and I do these little micro goals. I have big things I want in the future, but I also know right now there's small things that will be impactful for the big stuff that comes. So this is a process that I do all year round. I toss out the first of the year pressure and I just go along with the way that it works for me. So I want you guys to toss out that pressure too and hopefully embrace the concept of maybe taking tiny baby, teeny weeny little bites out of those bigger goals so that you can build that confidence.